Hey, track and field world, we are back at it again. Oh my God, it is another Thursday already. Yes, we were just here last week and we are back here tonight. And welcome each and everyone. Welcome, 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 wherever you are in the world. Welcome and thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Of course, tonight, my guest is none other than one of Jamaica's track and field gem, as I call them. His name is Mr. Taekwondo Tracy. We are going to be talking tonight about a lot of things and, just putting some things in perspective. So, help me welcome one of our own, Mr. Taekwondo Tracy. Mr. Tracy, I hope I pronounce your name properly. Good night to you,
Yes,
sir, and welcome. Did I do a good job with your name?
yes, you actually didn't butcher it like most other seasoned journalists.
Yes, I've
But
heard some pronunciations and so I'm glad I was able to do justice to your name. Welcome, Latoya and Vivian. Olympian Vivian is already up and about. She's on the live. Welcome, guys. Mr. Tracy, welcome. And before we get deep into things, I just want you to tell me a little bit about your childhood. Tell me who is Taekwondo, or tell me who was Taekwondo as a little boy, which parish you're from, and just a little bit about you running up and down as a little baby.
ah, well, it was a bit of running up and down. So born in Trelawney, Falmouth Trelawney by accident in a sense, because my mother was living in Kingston. She had, went to visit her mom and ended up going into labor while in Trelawney. Uh, Moved back to Kingston. I was there for like 2, 3 years afterward, and then she actually moved to Trelawney. Uh, for the most part, but then living in Trelawney, it was like just mostly involved in cricket, football, not so much track and field. I was always a good batsman, but I didn't like to do anything else. So cricket wasn't the go-to for me. Uh,
When you said you didn't want to do anything else, you mean running around on the field,
no,
diving and catching?
yeah, I didn't want to field. I didn't want to bowl. I just wanted to bat. So it was the go-to for me. And I always like football. Football has always been exciting. Um, all of my brothers, uncles were involved in it, and corner league at the time, that's what we call it in the country here. A corner league was always a thing, like in the summer. Um, so I didn't really get involved in athletics until I moved to Clarendon,
Tell
and
me
that
about that transition to Clarendon.
uh, well, something I never enjoyed, to be honest. I didn't want to move mainly because I was like moving away from everything. Because all of my mother's side of family, all of the family that I know lives in Trelawney, and we were basically moving away from that. So is like it was stressful, very stressful for me moving there. But then eventually get used to it,
Mm-hmm.
and then a few years at Bustamante High because I went high school for 1 year in Brownstone High, and then we moved to Clarendon. Went to Bustamante High, started at grade 8, and then was playing football for Bustamante High in Clarendon. After that, it was in nothing like grade 10. I got introduced to this coach. Well, he introduced himself to me, to be honest. Saw me playing and said to me I should stop wasting my time on football and the tracks. And I wasn't totally convinced in a sense, but I was actually the best in the school, regardless of not doing tracks, even better than the guys who were actually doing it at the time. So I got into it, and what really got my interest sparked is that with track and field, we travel almost every weekend for
Mm-hmm.
a meet, and that was that was enough for me to say,
You love the traveling.
yeah, get to go out, we get to go places all over for compete. So that was one of the things that really sparked my interest to actually get into athletics. And you know, it's basically start from there.
So tell me about that journey in high school and track and field competing at boys champs.
Well, my first year competing at boys champs was at Bustamante High, and that was my final year of high school at the time. I was young. I think I was like 15, 16 because I graduated a bit young. And then I didn't do much at boys champs that year. I watched most of it because even though I was the best at Bustamante, the rest of the country was way ahead of me. I what the first round of the national of champs, I dropped out at the 100 and the 200. So after that, it was just basically spectating for me. Uh, Graduated. Um, we went to Garvey Massey afterwards because the coach at Garvey Massey actually wanted me from the year before, and I didn't really decided to take him up on the offer until after I graduated. So I went to Garvey Massey, and unfortunately, at the time when I got in, it was a bit late, so I didn't get into sixth form. So I had to repeat 10th grade, which wasn't really an issue for me. I had to repeat 10th grade, and well, it was somewhat of a waste of time because I mean I had all the CXCs that I needed already, but I just ended up doing some more.
So we're talking about three high schools.
Yeah, actually three high schools. So after going to Garvey Maceo, then that is where I started doing tracks only.
That was when you got serious about
Yeah,
the business.
yeah, and I ended up fourth at champs in my first year at Garvey Maceo. I actually finished I think second in the 100 and I think third in the 200 at Central Champs, but I had to sit out a year because the systems that in
Mm-hmm,
Jamaica. I
mm-hmm.
had to sit out a year, so I couldn't compete at Champs, but I could compete at the regional stuff or the local
Yes.
before we get to Champs. And the year after that, I won the 100 meter at Central Champs and finished second in the 200. And then I finished fourth at Champs in the 100 meter and eighth in the 200 meter. And that was my final year at Champs.
Who was your
So
biggest rival at boys champs?
Some of the big names. I mean, who was my biggest? I mean, to be, I wasn't the best, so
Or one of?
I could call names like Jazeel Murphy, Odin Skeen, um, Javon Minzy, Delano Williams. Um, there was a lot of people.
Real super
And,
names. Those are some
yeah,
real super names. Yeah.
at the time, those people were on fire.
Oh
So
yes.
so yeah, I had quite a bit of competition back then. Still do.
Transitioning from high school, Garvey Marcel, to the University of Technology. Big up all the UTech people, UTech. But tell me about that transition from high school to the University of Technology.
Right, that was another thing. Because when I think I probably jumped the gun a bit when I started university because I got to do the courses that I wanted to do, which was construction management, and I think I thought it would have been easier to manage school and a full-time training program. It was hell. At one point, I was almost like a walking zombie. But after the first year, I learned, so I kind of didn't do as much as I did in the previous year. And but then, it was still a bit heavy for me because once, if you should even look at my track and field progression, I didn't start really doing well at the university level until I basically almost finished school when the workload was a lot less.
Was that was did you do that on purpose to concentrate on your studies first, and then after you graduate, you move into your track and field career?
Mm, i- i- Not really. I think living on campus at the time was the got me distracted a lot. I was doing this, I was doing that, I was here, I was there,
A lot of
and
girls.
yeah, and I mean, eventually, when it got to the point where I was saying, okay, no, I need to, start taking this thing a bit more serious, because I was putting more effort into school and enjoying myself than athletics itself at the time. While my other peers were focusing mostly on the track, but no,
Any regrets there?
not really.
Okay.
Not really. Sometimes I think back and I say, because I actually got a few scholarships out of high school. I think I got like four overseas. And sometimes I think back and I said, I wonder if I should have taken one of those
Why did
scholarships.
you choose to stay in Jamaica?
It wasn't even really my choice, to be honest. It was the choice was made for me because they thought training at MVP with Steve Francis at the time was the best option.
Interesting. Why construction? I mean, young, handsome, suit and tie. Why construction? Tell me about that choice. Did you
I
make the choice?
Yes, yes, yes. That was my choice. I have never been the office suit and tie type of person. I am not the type of person that is going to be sitting down on my ass all day, punching numbers or writing down figures. I mean, not bashing the job. I'm just not that type of person. Um, I want to be able to move around, get my hands dirty, get my shoes dirty, and construction in itself is something that I've always liked. Um, just the whole process of looking at a plot of land from just grass and developing that itself
Into
into
something?
something, it's almost like magic. And yeah, it's something I've always been into.
Do you plan to build your own house?
I do actually.
You
There's a
do?
there's a lot of times I even sit down because I have like a like a sketch in a sense, and then I will see things from different architectures and engineers and stuff like that, and I was like, I think I need to change this or change that. I would like this, I would like that. So yeah, it's definitely something I want to do for myself.
So you're not just into mixing the cement and the sand and stuff, you're actually into designing also.
Yeah, I mean, well, construction management in itself, I won't be doing any of the mixing
Okay.
or anything like that. I will be the person in charge of everybody that is on site and the work that is being done on site. So um yeah,
Interesting, interesting. So will you be using this degree after you retired from track and field?
yeah, I
Okay.
will. I haven't even collected it as yet because
Oh, you haven't?
no, when I finished school, I actually left and went overseas immediately after, and I had no real intentions of going to the graduation and anything like that. So I just left and I've
I'm sure
been,
whenever you're ready, it's there.
yeah, I mean, it has to be.
Once the tuition was fully paid, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I think they said I have some kind of outstanding fee that I have to pay. I don't know where that came from because I was on a full scholarship, but I
Wow.
mean, it's whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. College in itself is very, very tough. But when you have to balance it with sport, what was your strategy? What kind of strategy did you use in order to basically be successful at both? Graduating with a degree and, of course, doing great things in track and field. How did you
It,
balance?
Well, what I had to do was basically try to spread things out in a sense. where because it especially the course construction management, it's a lot of work. Being in the sun, um, doing different lab tests, and it was very time consuming. So what I had to do was basically I spoke to someone who did it before me, and to be honest, I had like a group of 5 friends who I could depend on a lot because sometimes training is
Mm-hmm.
heavy, and I'll call them and I say, "Oh, you don't have to come to class today because we got all of the notes and we catch you up." So a lot of the times, those are some of the person who really save me.
Yep.
And one thing with college, especially if you have more than one thing doing, as a student athlete, you need good people, good friends that you can depend on with part. If there's a reason for miss class, you don't have to worry. You know they may lie to the teacher for you or something of it
Exactly.
that.
A
So
support system is very important.
very important, very
Yeah.
very important.
Let us segue now from the classroom to the track. You trained at MVP, one of the top clubs in the
Hmm.
world, I would say. What was that like for you training at MVP with all the stars, the top names who were in the same club? What was that like? Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, it was a bit of everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. It was a bit of everything, and I mean there was a lot of fun times
Mm-hmm.
being there, getting to meet and train and become friends with a lot of the top people there. And to be honest, it was somewhat on the distracting side as well, because you know being able to rub shoulders with people that are far ahead of you sometimes get you a bit too relaxed. But it was fun. It was fun, but it had its down times for sure.
On a championship year, our athletes, well, athletes in general around the world, focus and get into their rhythm. How did you prepare yourself when it was a championship year, talking about the Olympics or the World Championship, coming into the trials? What was your preparation mode like?
Well, for to be honest, for every championship year, once it comes around to the national trials, it's always about key things. You work hard just the same, but you have to be very careful because at that time you can get hurt in so many different ways. So it's all about the mindset, training hard, recovery, rest, and eat properly and repeat. Well, I don't always eat properly, but
Yeah, we have our time, eh?
yeah, but it's when it comes around the championships, it's trust me, it's all about the mindset and getting the body ready, and that's always the focus. Everything else
Getting
comes second.
the mental and the physical ready.
Yeah,
You have achieved a lot. I would say you've achieved a lot competing for Jamaica. You've been to basically most of the championships. I mean, you're a national champion multiple times,
yeah.
the world championship multiple times, world relays, uh NACAC at every level, under
I've been to
23.
I've been to World Relays. Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, sir. You've been to the World Relays. You've been to the World Junior Games, Athletic World Cup, Continental Cup. You have personal best in the 100, the 200, the 4 by one, the 4 by 2. You're a part of Jamaica's rich legacy in track and field. Tell me about, just share with me a little bit how you feel knowing that you are a part of this great legacy.
Sometimes I don't even think about it, to be honest,
And
because
that
it's
was
like
why I did
even
this. I like
even
doing this
even
part.
even just now when you said World Relays, I was like World Relays. Didn't really remember it, but yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I probably have my reasons why I didn't remember it, but yeah, I've been to quite a bit of places. most of them really fun memories. Some of them not so much, but it has been a wild journey, a wild journey.
You have competed in an era, or you started out in an era where we had some super talent in track and field coming out of Jamaica. Just tell me how you feel knowing that you were a part of that era.
Well, um,
Not a lot of people
I
can say that, but you can say it.
true. I mean, I've even competed on relays with Bolt. I've run
Mhm.
against him. I mean, all of them from Asafa, Justin Gatlin, Tyson Gay. Wow, I've actually competed with
I'm
all
going
of
to
these people.
remind you of a relay. I think it was a Gibson relay. You remember a Gibson relay where you anchored for your team and
2015,
Usain Bolt wasn't able to catch you going to the finish line? You remember
yeah,
that relay?
2015.
I was in the stadium.
I was just that year is the year when I started to get into to the actual professional um, realm. Before that, I would basically consider myself being mediocre. But that's the year when I actually started getting into the professional realm, because that same year I also made the Beijing World Championship team, and which I broke my ankle just before the four
Wow.
by one.
Ooh.
Uh, but
But tell me
yeah,
about that relay, man. You are one of the few who can say you run left Bolt. Tell me about that feeling. Tell me about that feeling to know that you got to the finish line before Usain Bolt. I mean, you brought the stadium in a frenzy at that Gibson relay.
I remember. Hey, listen, that day was fun. I think the
It
day was
was.
fun. The night was even more fun because when we got back to UTech that day, because I was living on campus, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It was. He was charging in, but you did not give up at all, and
Listen, the
you
only
are one
thing,
of the few.
all I was saying in my head, now catch me, now catch me, now catch me, now catch me, not today, not today, not today.
Sounds like a Jamaican. That was, as I said before, you are one of the few that can say you ran against Usain Bolt in a relay and you defeated him. You have that story to tell to your kids or your grandkids, whatever, or even to Snow, Mr. and Mrs. Snow,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, that's a big deal. But let us just move into struggles. Tell me about some of the struggles or challenges you've had as an athlete.
Um, like, I don't know if you was hearing that in the background, but yeah.
Yes, I heard something ringing. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
one of the biggest, I would say, struggle in a sense was having a level of understanding that most didn't. And what I mean by that is, I'm the type of person where when I walk into a room and let's say there's a meeting, you're conducting a meeting and you say something that I don't understand, or I would think that needs a little bit more clarity. I am not going to say, sure, just make it go on. I'm going to say, excuse me, could you elaborate, please? I don't understand, or I don't think XYZ understands. I have always been that person. I have never been the person to really just sit down and just let things go by, especially if it has to do with me. Because I tell people all the time, oh, just one charge, 1 second.
Sure. Welcome each and everyone on the live. Welcome, welcome. Latoya, I see you are there. Coach Regina Montague, welcome to the program. Dorothy Scott, genius, welcome. Another Olympian on the live. Welcome all. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. And, thank you for being here, hanging out with Mr. Taekwondo and myself. He's back.
Yeah. So, so I've always been that person, and
You question things.
I question things. I've learned over the years, and I don't know if it's somewhat the slavery mentality that a lot of people have, whereas whenever somebody asks them a question, they see them as being defiant or see them as being um, what's the word? Um, just see them as being
Rebellious.
rebellious. See them as being rebellious. And I've been in places, and especially around people where they don't like that. And one thing I've noticed as well, people that don't like when people answer them, what people ask them questions, or people question their authority, are people who tend to have things to hide. And I've always noticed that.
I'm glad you say that because you did a beautiful segue into the next area that we're going into now. Let us talk about Budapest. I want us to talk about Budapest, and I want you to tell me what happened in Budapest, and I don't want you to leave out anything. I want you to break it down so that even the little baby can understand item by item. Tell me what happened in Budapest before you first made that video.
All right, so let's kick it off from January, right? January of this year, I was struggling like hell in I was struggling physically, I was struggling mentally because once my body is not where it should be, I'm going to be thinking about it quite a lot. Um, I had just pulled my groin. I think it was the second week of January, and I was I don't know where I was to be honest, because I couldn't think straight and got through all of that phase. I remember I went to a meet in the Bahamas and I didn't run well. And I called my agent and I said, listen, Jamaica has meets almost every week. And I'm going to stay home because they had some meets lined up for me afterwards, after that one in Bahamas. And I said, listen, I'm going to stay in Jamaica. I'm going to train and I'm going to run every weekend and get myself in shape for the national trials because right now that is the aim. Because if I don't make the national team, that's it, right? I said, okay, all right, no problem. So they pulled me out of the meets. Went to the national trials. I knew I wasn't in the shape that I wanted to be, but I knew I was in a shape enough to do something that would basically bring me to a point that would be respectable. Went through the rounds. Trust me, God brought me through those rounds because I was, regardless of me feeling like I was in shape, I was nervous as hell. Like it was extremely nerve wracking.
Why were you nervous? You've done this before. You've won
I
this more than once.
I have, but the thought of knowing where everybody else was in terms
Oh,
of how well they were running and the fastest time that I ran coming into the trials, I knew I had a lot of work to do. And that's one of the things that really weighed on my mind. So got to the national trials, finished fifth. Yeah, got to Budapest. So in Budapest, when we got there the first day, um, we all noticed something that was a bit off, which was a certain addition. But because we just got there mentally, a lot of people were saying that his coach is here, so that is why he's here. He's probably just here to stay in Europe and train with his coach until after the championship. But then no, when I, because I was helping with the gears that they sent to Budapest for the athletes. So I was sorting the boxes. So I saw a name. So I was like, this person is a part of the team. Why is their name on the national gears box? And of course, when they started doing relay practices and stuff, he was at the practices. So I was
Where
like,
did
okay,
that person finish at the trials? Can you
that person,
remember?
that person finished seventh.
Seventh. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, there were arguments that he ran a faster time than me, but we can argue that later on.
Okay.
Um, so got their button passes and all of that. So when we were doing button passes, there were certain because the third leg, that was the leg that I was practicing for. Nowhere else, right? Nobody else was practicing for that leg, right? So I was surprised when we got to Budapest and the week of the 100 meters, the 4 by 100 meters, the Monday before the heats, which would be on Friday, we got to a meeting and they said, hey, listen, these are the 5 persons that are going to compete. And I was there listening, and they call Oblique Seville, um, the Rowan Watson, um, Raheem Ford, Akeem Blake, and Kadrian Golson. So I was like, excuse me? I mean, well, I didn't say anything, but that was my facial expression. And I sat back in the chair. I was like this. And I was looking at the coach like this, like, so how is this person even? I mean, I didn't say anything, but I was just looking. And Michael Campbell, who was somebody who had known me for years, he looked at my face and he saw that, you know, something was up. So he started like smiling a bit, but he didn't say anything. Afterwards, after that meeting, I sent a message to the technical leader, which is Maurice Wilson, and that coach, which is the coach of the relay, right? And I said I would like to have an audience with you guys at your earliest, you know, availability. I didn't really get any response until sometime after. I think he had said in I think in the evening when they get back from the track, or but when when they got back from the track in the evening, it was late. I didn't get the two of them together until the next day. And they tried, because I knew for a fact he was avoiding me because he knew what I wanted to talk about. The next day he was saying, oh, he's busy and he has all sort of thing to do. The same with the other coach, talking about he had meeting with Nike, which is this is Adidas coach. I guess he was coaching. I think at the school that he was coaching was a Nike contracted school. But he was saying, oh, he had meeting and he can't stay in a meeting for long, but they want to hear what I have to say. So when I started talking, I started explaining myself, and I said, listen, I earned my spot fair and square. You guys had a national trials for a reason. And why is it that this guy he shouldn't even be here? You guys basically sneaking on the team, right? And he's your athlete, which is Maurice Wilson, the technical leader. And you are going to tell me that you are going to run him over me. For what reason?
What was
It's,
the explanation why
be-
seventh place was selected and not fifth or sixth?
so basically, their reason behind it was that he ran a his most recent time was faster than my most recent time
In the 100
in
meters?
the 100 meters. And when he said that, I said, listen, first of all, that don't make no sense. Because if you're going to go based off what I did before the championship, if I did my best to make sure I was ready for the national championship and your guy came and messed up, that is no fault of mine. I made sure I was ready for the championship, right? You guys made sure you go to run fast at track meets, right? And I am preparing for Budapest. Whatever time I ran before getting to Budapest have nothing to do what I'm going to do at Budapest, because you guys saw me training and you know that I am ready to run. And I noticed it from the first day. He showed up at every one of my training sessions just to try to find a reason to say, okay, they're going to run him over me. So because they couldn't find the reason in my training program to say, okay, he didn't look healthy in training, that's why them didn't run him. They went back to they tried to say, okay, because his most recent 100 meter is faster than my most recent 100 meter. That's why they're going to use him.
Was this person selected for the team that was published?
No, so their claim is that he was selected from day one. That is what they said. That is what they said. And the video evidence is there. Said he was selected from day one, but for whatever reason, his name wasn't on the published list. It was on another list. Right? So nobody outside of the selecting committee. And this is one of the things that I also said to him. I said, first of all, you guys sneak this guy on the team. And
So why would you not add his name to a list
because
that you're publishing to the public?
he knew that people would have a problem with it, because they selected him based off whatever time they wanted to select him, right? And of course, it's Maurice Wilson's athlete, and he claims he has nothing to do with the reason why he was selected, because the selecting committee thought he was the best option. So I was like, okay, if you're going to go off the most recent time, recent 100-meter time, why you selected this person for the team? There were three other guys who ran faster than him, Jamaicans, far more experience, has far more practices when it comes to relay, and you selected none of them. Why is he so special? Right? Why was he the one got selected? Because it would obviously mean that our selecting committee is incompetent, or they're simply doing you a favor.
The transparency is the problem, because if you are publishing a list, and I'm still asking this question, I've been asking this question, why is it that his name was not published on that list
His
that was
name,
made public to everyone?
and it's easy to know, his name was not published on the list because there were people would have had issues with it. So they published it at a time, or they didn't even publish it. They basically added me in at a time when there is nothing that can be done. They add him in at the last minute before the deadline.
Do you think the athletes, you athletes, do you think you guys, the rules are clear enough? The selection rules, and we're going to look at.
Listen. I'm gonna tell
Do
you the
you think
truth.
the rules are clear enough?
Nothing is clear enough with J3,
That's true.
because I'm going to tell you, like, next year, next year is the year when you'll have to vote for a new president. And we had so many meetings. There had been so many chances and so many times this year, and J3 has mentioned nothing about the election next year. And a lot of people may not know, but once you have represented Jamaica presently or in the past, you can vote.
Let us
And
look at the rule.
and
Let us look at
also
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
in order to be eligible, you have to sign up from September 30 this year. So when voting come next year, if you're gonna sign up from September 30 this year, you cannot vote.
You don't have a vote. Let us look at the rule. Let us look at the selection rule for the J3. I'm actually on their site now. It says athletes must compete in the national championship unless an exemption has been granted by the J3. We know what that is. Athletes placing in the first four positions in the 100 and 400 will be named to the relay pool. So if you finish 1 to 4, you are named in the relay pool. The remaining members of the relay pool will be selected by the J3A selection committee as a mandate of World Athletics. So athletes who are selected to run individual 1 and 4 are automatic members of the relay pool. Do you think that that is clear enough so that if an athlete is not chosen, then they should be okay?
Yeah, I mean, it is clear. It is clear. And if even if they had came about with the rule when everybody was being selected at the time, nobody could argue, right? Because that would have simply mean you have done the correct thing from day one, but you didn't. You selected a team, published it, and then the last minute you snuck in a guy and said, "Oh, the selection committee thought he was the best person for the spot,"
And
when
that
there were
list was
three other persons ahead of him.
and that list was not made public.
That list was not made public because, according to them, he was selected, but the list that was published, his name was not on it.
But that doesn't make sense. So why is it everybody's name was on it who were
Every
selected and his name
everybody
was
else's
on
name was
it?
on it,
So
and there is a lot of arguments behind it too, because people, and look at this. Imagine, all right, let me ask you a question, right? If you have two athletes who have made the world athletic standard for their event, but you have one that has not made the world athletic standard, but he qualified based off world ranking. So he's not informed to be competing with the best, but for whatever reason, the world ranking, he's qualified. Which athlete would you then bring to the world championship?
the one that is on form now that would have made the qualifying standard, not
If
based on ranking. Based on ranking would be my reserve.
Precisely, and that's also something they did, because you have athletes who had the qualifying standard for world championship, and they choose to bring two athletes who shouldn't really be there, because one, you finished XYZ point at the national trials, and based off what I know, you should be selected based on the national championships.
So we need clearer rules. The rules need to be
The
clearer. There
rules
needs
need the rules need to be clear, one, and the rules need to be set in a manner where the officials cannot manipulate it to their own benefit.
exactly.
And these are something that they have been doing for years. It's not just now. Because this same person, Kadrian Gosen, right? I'm going to give you another instance. Last year at the Commonwealth Games, he ran the 200 meter, right? He did not make the finals at the national championship. How did he trump everybody that was up in front of him to get to run at the Commonwealth Games?
Could it be that other athletes were not available?
No.
I'm just trying to.
Even I would believe that there are athletes that are not available. But guess what? J3 J3 had the option of saying, here what? Top three guys are definitely the guys who are going to run. Let me contact these guys and let them know. And let me ask them, or inform them that we have selected them for the Commonwealth Games.
Exactly.
But guess what? We're also going to select three more persons to let them know they are selected provisionally, just in case these three guys decided they don't want to go.
Exactly.
They don't do that. They don't do that.
So
They
we are
wait.
going to continue to have a problem then.
Precisely. What they do is, because I think last year the World Championship was before Commonwealth. So what they did is basically, okay, they released a team for World Championship. They didn't say anything about the Commonwealth team. You have so many people who finished in the finals who would have loved to go to Commonwealth Games, but J3 didn't call them, didn't send them an email and say, hey, what? Listen, we might have to select you. So let us know if you are interested, and so you can continue training for the championship. They don't do that. And if you notice, because even right now going on the Pan Am
The
Games,
Pan Am Games, yeah.
the guy who, first of all, the guy who finished, I think, seventh in the 100 meters, he finished 14th at the national trials,
So
and he's
what
there.
about the people before him that maybe we could call? I don't know. I don't want to say a B team, but what
Yeah,
about the
the,
athletes before?
exactly. I would think that most of the top men would have opted not to run at the Pan Am Games. But even if you delete eight, there is still another five in ahead of him, and even more. The other guy that run the 100 meter with him, he didn't even run the 100 meter at the national trials.
So we have a problem. We have a problem. The rules
and
need
and
to be clear. The rules
and
are not, we don't have any rules.
and going forward, if you look even more, the same guys that run the 200 meters, one of them finish what 20 something at the national trials, and the other one finish, I think, I don't remember, but they didn't even make the finals, right? And guess what? Those four guys, the two from the 100 and the two from the 100 meters, all coached by Maurice Wilson. And there is nothing suspicious about that.
I
And
would love,
and
I
and
would love to know the
and
story behind that. Is
and I
it
would
that
like to
other athletes are not making themselves available, so we go down the list and we use these people? I really would like to know.
try to send an email to J3, just asking them some random questions and see when you get a reply.
It's
J3, J3 have a problem with that. Let's not say J3, or federations have a problem with communication. They don't believe, or they don't see the athletes as professional athletes who are adults who they need to respect and
mhm.
communicate with as such. They just see you as another runner.
Yeah, they don't want to be asked anything. I realize that they have that thing. The minute you start asking questions, people get in their feelings and
Yeah,
become defensive
they
instead of
don't
explaining.
yeah, they don't want to talk. They don't want to talk. And when you start asking questions, they start getting defensive, right? And they start labeling you. So
How could
if
this
and as
been?
and as I said, if J3 had said, you know what, based off the national trials, these persons said they were interested in going to the Pan Am Games. We are going to send them a message, right? Letting them know that we have provisionally selected them for the national championship, for the Pan Am champion, for Pan Am Games, so they can continue training for such event, right? Because if you should think about it, I never received an email, and I finished ahead of every single one of those guys that ran. I never received an email. I mean, I did say it in an interview that I'm just going to focus on next year, but regardless of that, you didn't send me an email. And it is when you sign up for the national championship, I did tick the box that said Pan Am Games.
The system. We need a system. Our system is not.
We
The system is broken.
our leaders are not being held accountable. There's
Yeah,
nothing in place to hold them accountable.
that's
it
true.
is
That's
it is it is really sad with everything that happened over the summer, and I have not heard one word out of the president of the J3A.
Are you happy with how it was handled by your situation was handled by the federation?
The situation wasn't really handled. They try the most they are doing now is just trying to sweep it underneath the rug. They're just trying to make people forget it because they know that they are in the wrong. And rather than coming and saying, hey, what we apologize, they're not going to do that because guess what? Coming and saying that they're all wrong or what what, because they're not going to say Mr. Wilson did anything, right? So whoever on behalf of Mr. Wilson are making these decisions, it's obviously Mr. Wilson have something over these people's head, or they're all just one big brothers and sisters, which that is what it seems to me after all of the what took place.
Yeah,
Because
accountability
I've
is a
spoken
big
to
problem.
I've spoken to different people, and the things that they said to my face, like in a close circle, they will not come forward and say that, right? They won't. So this circle of guys who is manipulating the Jamaica national teams for their own benefit, they need to go, and they need to there's something need to be put in place to hold these guys accountable.
And nobody is calling them out. Nobody is saying
Other
anything.
than me, other than
Everybody is
me,
just quiet
and
about it.
then
But
this is one of the
accountability.
this is one of the big things also. It's just like, give for example with the reggae girls, the girls came and stand together.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica athletes, they take this individual thing to a next level.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've seen and heard athletes say, "Oh, that none of my it not trouble me, so me not get involved."
yeah, yeah.
Right?
That's wrong.
Right?
Yeah. That
And
mindset and approach,
that
it's
might, but and then that is the thing. Not bashing anybody. It's like you have so many athletes who just take things as it is.
and they
Because
either just
you
walk away from the
other
sport.
other other athletes, because other athletes went through what I did at the world championship and chose to say nothing.
It has happened
I
before.
remember,
I've
I
heard
remember
about.
multiple times. I remember this female, she's going to say, "Oh, we leave him to God." No, God give you a mouth to talk. I'm gonna tell people all the while, God help those who help themselves. So make a man come beat you and you know, stand up for yourself and you talk about God. No, God help those who help themselves. If you really believe in the man and you've read his word, you will know so you need to take action just as much as how you want him to take action.
Wow. With this situation, do you think the fact that you have spoken out in the manner that you have, do you think it will affect you going forward if you are left at their mercy?
Of course, 100%. It will. They may try to make it not seem that way because they know for a fact it has been proven over the summer. If they try to sidetrack me any at all going forward, it is going to be known, right? It is going to be heard. But not that doesn't say they're not going to try it. The thing is, they are going to try to find every reason to sabotage me and to
Especially, okay, Taekwondo is I think his internet might be acting up a little bit, guys. He is frozen. Taekwondo, yes. It seems as if there's a problem with his internet, guys. Hopefully he can rejoin us. But this seemed to be a problem that we have been having, where people don't want to be held accountable for their actions. Okay,
oh,
you're back with us. Yes. You
okay, yeah.
froze just now, so you're back with
Yeah,
us.
something happened to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
Yeah, continue with your thought. Accountability, the whole works.
Yeah, so I mean, once I'm left up to
Their
their
mercy.
their mercy, they're going to take the most harsh judgment they can. I've known athletes who got into altercation with them that didn't go public, and you know, because of what happened, they tried to blacklist them or sidetrack them in every way possible until they just left the sport.
Yes,
And
I've heard
trust
a
me,
lot of stories.
right now, if I should leave the sport, it would be the worst thing for them
Yeah,
because I am going to have so much more time on my hand to make sure I make their life a living hell unless they do what is right.
yeah, yeah. This is just so unfair. But you know something, I've asked this question over and over. Why is it that track and field athletes, where is the voice for the track and field athletes? I've seen cricketers have an association. I've seen other sport have an association to protect their athletes, to negotiate on behalf of the athletes. What is track and field doing? What is track and field Jamaica doing?
The
You
problem
guys
with
need
the
a
problem
union,
the
or
problem the problem with track and field Jamaica, as I said before, everybody takes
it's
this
too individual.
individual thing very seriously because when it comes, because I've had dialogues with people, and I mean things have been said but no real action. But when it all comes down to it, all of the clubs in Jamaica are divided. um Most of the athletes are divided,
Yeah, there's a lot of
right?
divide.
and
Yeah,
and people don't know how much strength they have in unity. I
yeah,
remember, like for example, our per diem when we go to the world championship is $25 a day. I remember somebody from who was competing for Jamaica in 2005. He messaged me and asked me if we're still getting $25 a day for per diem. I said yes. And he's like, wait a
Wow.
minute. So you try to tell me say from 2006, them I give with $25 a day US dollars. And look at what the economy is, and they are still giving you guys that.
Nothing is changing.
Nothing has changed. And there are so many experiences that one can talk about. I remember it was in Beijing when we got there and they gave us X amount of bags. So everybody had excess bags going home, and we said we needed money to pay for the bags because these things should have been accounted for, because you guys would have given us the bag at the World Championship and not at home where we could travel with it. And they said, oh, they don't have any money, yada, yada, yada. And I don't remember. I think it was Nesta or Shelly. Somebody, stood up strongly, right? And the next day, they find the money. The next day, we get a message. Say, oh, you guys can pick up the extra money for the bags.
Before, hold that thought before you go any further. There's an Olympian on the live, Dorothy Scott, and she's saying that she think that the Minister of Sport need to get involved. This has been going on for so long. They are not being held accountable for this kind of behavior. Your thoughts on that?
I believe so too. I strongly believe so. People fail to understand any any team that goes out to compete with Jamaica on their shirt or bib or whatever it is, you are representing Jamaica. Once you are running the national colors, the national gears, that means it is a public problem. It is a public issue, right? It is not private. So while everything is going on in the minute, because I'm sure she has or somebody has brought this to her attention. Don't quote me, because I'm just saying it went
Mm-hmm.
really,
Yeah.
it was all over the news, all of that. So she has more
It's
than
not a
likely
secret. It's not a
she
secret.
has seen it, and I've not heard anything about it, right, from the president of J3A or the minister of sports, right? The only reason why the ladies prob issue got so big was because the international bodies started supporting the girls,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And when I even said that, something could just come to mind. I'm going to I'm going to write the president IAA for an email.
Maybe you should.
No, I'm
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah. Yeah. Coaches for national duties. Your thoughts?
Coaches for national duty should have nothing to do with anybody on the team.
Yeah.
We have so many talented coaches, and for especially a man like, because it has been shown multiple times, a man like Maurice Wilson, his level of reason don't make any sense. 'Cause let me give you, for example, with the girls mix, with the men and women mixed relays, right? You as the technical leader, right? You as a technical leader, everything has to pass your mouth, right? You have to regurgitate it and spit it out back to everybody else. You have to sign off on it. And you're telling me that, okay, you have so many fit athletes there, and you selected somebody that wasn't even good enough to make the females finals, right? To run on the mixed relay, rather than putting the other persons who came there for the mixed relay. You are telling me that you, as a coach, you as a sensible person, thought that was a good idea? And then you are going to come and open your mouth and say, oh, they're just going to put the best 4x1 team out there. You don't have the credibility to say that. You don't.
Mm.
And I've heard him talking about, oh, coaching world record teams and yada yada yada. He coached none of those athletes that was on the world record team. What, you come to they come to the world championship and you spend 3 sessions out of the year, and all of a sudden you are a world record coach? You have no rights over that say. The world record coaches are the coaches of the athletes who coach them for 12 months of the year, 10, 11 months of the year to get them to the championship. Those are the real persons who deserve credit,
You
not
need
you.
to lobby. People like you need to lobby for a union, athletes union or whatever. Athlete, I mean, you have coaches association. Cricket has, I think they have something that you call WEPA, West Indies Players
I've
Association.
I've
Track
what they
and
did.
field need a union because there are athletes who might be going through stuff and they are not bold enough. They don't have the support to defend themselves. It cannot be every man for himself because not
So
every man is strong enough to act on his
so
own.
so this is what they did recently to try and control that narrative, right? They added, I think, two athletes to the executive members of the J3A. So according to them, those athletes should basically speak on behalf of us. And I don't see, as I said, I don't see them doing anything. I don't think they're doing anything to really support athletes or even for talking on behalf of athletes. Because, I mean, in general, over the years, nothing has changed. Nothing really has changed. J3 has always been J3. And when you think about it, the persons that have been running J3, one step aside and then another friend step up. So it's the same thing for years and years and years to come.
Some of our, too many of our athletes are hurting because of, this thing that has been going on for way back when. I've had Olympians
Listen, it
from
has been
the
so,
60s, 70s who their story is the same, just like yours. They
it,
were sidelined, they come to the trials, made the team, and they were sidelined for somebody else, all because they speak up.
listen, it has always been the same thing. And then they come out and try to paint you as a bad person. Like, this man is so stupid. And I can say that with my chest. Like, I remember he did it was some kind of interview. And the first thing he tried to do was don't play my credibility, saying that I'm a disrespectful athlete and oh, I've been changing clubs over the years because all I've been doing is disrespecting coaches. I'm like, which one of my coaches told you that I disrespected them? I would love to hear that because I know for a fact me and Fran had a contractual agreement that I wasn't willing to agree to. And I said, you know what? If we can't meet in the middle, might as well we just separate,
And nothing is wrong with that. It's
right?
business.
It's business,
Mhm.
right? And he said, well, it's my way or the highway. And I said, okay, I guess that's the, I got the answer. Left. If you guys even look at the club that I went to after that, within 2 years, almost everyone left that club. From the top athletes, Andre DeGrassi, um,
Yes,
Adam
I remember
Jamili,
that
Omar
split. Mhm.
McLeod, everybody left. So
Yeah.
you are going to say, okay, what? I was disrespecting that coach. Why I left? First of all, it was my decision to leave.
But it's okay for people to change jobs. People do it all the time. People switch
People,
clubs all the time. It
people
is
do
a
it all
part.
the time.
It is a part of the game.
It is a part of the game, right? And that's the first thing he came out and do, trying to paint me as a bad person rather than answering the questions that were at hand.
If a leader refuse to answer to the people, he or she should not be a leader. If you
Precisely.
refuse
And
to answer to the people when they have questions, then leadership is not for you. And that's general. That is a general
Kevin,
statement.
Kevin Clark, how were these athletes selected to join the committee? To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I know they were selected. I would have to look into how that happened, and more than likely look into probably getting myself selected, which is going to be extremely difficult because everybody inside is going to be against I. But I would have to look into that.
So, with this mindset, because of what we've been seeing happening and it has been unspoken over the years, what is your preparations like going into an Olympic year. This is a big year, a big season coming up, the Olympic in Paris. In order not to be at their mercy.
I'm going to be at their mercy regardless.
But if you
I've
place
listen,
yourself in the top
I've
three or
seen
the top four, you
I
cannot be
know
overlooked.
I know, but what I was getting at is that I've seen where I got disqualified from the national championship for no valid reason.
Oy, oy, oy.
No valid reason, right? And I tried to argue it, and they said, "Oh no, that's that." Right? I remember 2000. It was last year, 2022, at the national championships, right? Where they said I stepped on the line in the 200 meters, and the evidence that they showed me to say, okay, you stepped on the line, didn't make any sense because the video they showed, they said I stepped on the line over this side. The video camera was looking from this side. There is no way you can accurately tell. No way possible you can accurately tell if I'm stepping on the line over here when the
Mm-hmm.
camera is all the way up in the top of the stadium looking at this side.
Yeah.
Unless it is clearly visible that I stepped over the line, then it's not a valid reason. But yet still they say, okay, they're going to disqualify me. And the worst part of it, when they disqualified me, it was not even the finals, it was the semifinals. Right? I could have clearly been placed in the finals because I was what, 10, 15 meters ahead of the person that finished second behind me. And they chose to disqualify me.
So how can we, and I'm going to say we because I'm a Jamaican, how can we protect the athletes from people's feelings or emotions? How can we make sure that there's fair play for all? Because this thing has been going on for a while now. I've heard athletes tell their story, and it continued to happen to athletes in the 21st century. So who is going to break the cycle to ensure that the athletes coming up not suffer from this? How are we going to
We
fix that?
we will have to create a committee that is solely run and controlled by the athletes.
And that's what you guys need to do, Taekwondo. Why is it
We
that there's no body for the athletes?
and the thing is, as I said before, it is difficult as most athletes take this individual thing.
But who want to be a part of it, let them be a part of it. Who don't want to be a part of it, let them do them individual thing. But it have to start somewhere. Even if you only have two members, I mean that's enough to start, and others will join as you go along. Too many athletes are left out on their own to handle situation, and when they cannot handle
And
it, they just leave it alone, and this thing
so,
continues.
no, I understand and I do agree, but for the most part, I know I will have to get, because what they're going to say, the J3, you are going to need a certain amount of athletes backing you, saying that yes, they want you to represent them. If you are, they're going to probably say, oh, if you have 10 persons, that is not enough,
But
right?
they're not writing the rules for you. You guys are going to write the rules how you want your organization to be governed.
They are not going to want that. But there are ways of means of getting it done. I will be looking into it. I'm going to get legal help
Yes, and
because
get retired athletes too who have gone through the same thing to be a part of it, not just current athletes, but get the
hey,
retired athletes
we
involved.
there has been conversations, and I have some real names that
Yeah.
are with me. I won't disclose that as yet,
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
but until the day of when this document is turned over to the J3A, nobody will know what's what. But I am going to be looking into it deeply because we need to have an organization that represents athletes and not
Mm-hmm.
an organization that is doing what is best for the administration.
Yes. And it should have no affiliation with the federation. It should be an organization that stands by itself to represent and argue, kind of like a union kind of thing, to represent the athletes.
Yeah.
Because you have and you can get testimony. You have a lot of retired athletes who have gone through the same thing. Get them involved, let them come in and tell them stories and be a part of this. Too many athletes are walking away from the sport, are competing in the sport unhappy because there is no justice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how do you think this thing with you and Maurice Wilson, how could it have been avoided?
Based on history, it couldn't have been avoided because Mr. Maurice would have done whatever that would benefit him at the end of the day. Because look at the facts. When we look at Elaine Thompson not running in the finals of the women 4x1, what Sasha Lee Forbes did, when clearly Elaine was 10 miles ahead of Sasha Lee, and you as a coach, a technical leader, could not look and see that Elaine was in immaculate form.
And we as fans have
And we
questions, and
precisely
nobody wants to answer the questions.
and
Why
even
wasn't Elaine in the 4x100 meter final? Is
and
it that she
exactly,
turned it down? Is it a case where she turn it down
that's
and
a
you
lie.
run?
They
No, I'm just asking,
no, I think somebody had come out and said that they asked and she said no, which she then came out and said that was a lie.
These are things that we supposed to ask and get answered. Why is it that we're not having post-mortem when our team go out and compete? Why is it that we're not having any press conference when the management team come home from a championship? Why is it that we cannot have them in a room and
Because
question them and say,
they don't think they should answer to you guys.
no, but
That is it, point blank.
without the athletes, the federation is not important. Without athletes, you don't need a federation. The athletes, they are the most important asset to the federation.
And that's the thing. They have succeeded in making the athletes feel like they can't succeed without the federation.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like what I'm seeing because athletes, too many of our athletes are getting hurt because of us, nobody in their corner. And with your situation, I've been sitting and waiting to see a press conference call and they address the situation so that you can get some justice and everything. And people just come home and
The only the only
everything is
accurate
normal.
the only accurate justice that would be handed down would be to say, hey, listen, Mr. Wilson will no longer be a part of the national team as a coach going forward, and they will not do that.
And you know something? I can't even blame Mr. Wilson totally because
I
he was
can't eat.
appointed. He was appointed. And if you appoint somebody to do a job and you cannot get any response from them, if you cannot hold them accountable, then they're going to continue doing that. So I'm not going to hold him totally responsible because he did not put himself there.
And I agree with you 100% because guess what? I'm sure not only me see what him do, and me alone. They in the administration are seeing it as well. And if they are not doing anything about it, or they can't do anything about it, he's just going to continue to do what he's doing.
We need a press conference. We should be able, the media should be able to get a press conference after an Olympic game or world championship or any sport at all where the country leave and go away to compete. When they come back, the first thing you do, you hold a press conference. Everybody who were on the management team be a part of that press conference. And the media question them on behalf of the fans because we are a part of this thing too.
Yeah, and some of the time I can't even trust the some of these so-called media outlets. Only a few of them are, because to give you a good example, When they got back to Jamaica, they have something they call a media liaison. So he's the person that they claim to basically answer question on behalf of the J3. So the president, I guess he won't have to come forward and say anything.
We need
The person that interviewed him on Sportsmax, they ask him no relevant questions. Absolutely none.
they
Right?
need a proper press conference or a proper post mortem where you do a SWOT analysis. So you look at the strength and the weakness and where the threats were. Why didn't we win that 4x1 gold medal? Why is it that we did not win that relay? A post mortem need to be done so that we don't make the same mistake next year. We
Uh,
made the mistake last year and we lost that 4x1 in Eugene. And we came back this year and lost that 4x1 again.
yep. Lost a 4x1 that we should
So
have won
it
with
so it
flying
means
colors.
that we are not doing any post-mortem after a championship to look at the strength, the weaknesses, and the threats and see how we can fix them going forward or how we can maintain. Boy, I don't know. I as a track and field fan, sometimes it breaks my heart when I see certain things happening and stuff, you know. But taekwondo, it's hard. And next year being an Olympic year, you know, you just get yourself ready so that the only person's mercy you're at is God's and yours, nobody else, nobody else.
I will be
And
ready.
we will be watching. We will be watching closely and we will be in your corner, you know. So just get yourself ready, do what you need to do. But accountability is our biggest problem. It is a big problem around the world with people who are in charge. They don't want to be asked anything. They don't
Yeah,
want to be,
they don't want to be asked anything because they know the
yeah.
questions would put them at a low point in whatever they did. But I I I will definitely be going forward and seeking out the necessary persons because all I need is persons' signature saying that they will support, and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, that is enough to know that I have certain amount of people behind me. And to be
Yes.
honest, I know that there's a lot of persons that I can get to fall in line, or not necessarily fall in line, to be a part of
Mm-hmm,
what I
mm-hmm.
want to achieve, and
Yes.
I'm going to pursue it.
You should. You should. And even if you do not benefit from it, the athletes coming up
Will
will
benefit from it.
benefit. The future will benefit from it. So just keep pushing, you know, just keep going because there are athletes, retired athletes, who they have the same story that you have. And they've said it on this program.
Yeah.
You know, they have said it on this program. So just keep going and keep going. But before we go, I want to play a little game. I want us to play a little game. What is the biggest risk you've ever taken? The biggest risk.
Unprotected sex.
Wow. And that is big. That is huge. That is huge. I hope you learn. I hope you learn.
No, I mean, it wasn't like with somebody random, but I
Yeah.
mean, in itself, it's a risk.
Yes, it is. It is. You know,
but
you're a smart. You know, you're a smart young man. You're
but
smart.
in general, outside of that, I would say the biggest risk I took was was hmm, probably leaving to go overseas. No, the biggest risk I took actually was when I came back to Jamaica mid-season when I left the club that I went to overseas. That was a huge risk. I came back without being sure of what would have happened, and I mean I ended up winning the national trials that same year.
Beautiful. You just have to take the risk sometimes. What is the
That leap of
worst
faith.
advice? Yes. What is the worst advice you've ever got? The worst advice.
Worst advice.
Yeah. That you've ever gotten from anybody.
Whew, that's hmm, that's kind of difficult because it's more of a case where like um growing up, my older brother, right? I remember once he caught me smoking. No, he heard I was smoking with some guys that I was around, and he called me and he said, "Listen, because he smokes, right?" And he said he has never seen me pick up one of his spliff, his lighter, nothing of the sort. So obviously, I was following somebody,
What was
right?
it? Cigarette or?
No, it was weed.
Okay.
So he was saying that he knew that I was following someone, why I did what I did, and he said, "Listen, to me, never follow nobody. Always be a leader, right? Always make sure so whatever you do it because you want to, not because somebody wants you to do it." So
Amen.
for me, sometimes advice is I tend to not listen to them too deeply unless I really need advice from a specific person. But
Yes,
but
Sandy. Yes, Sandra Henry. That's
but
Snow.
but worst advice. Worst advice. I would have to
Well,
think deeply about that.
all right, let's talk about compliments. What's the best compliment you've ever got?
Mm, the well, I don't know about the best, but the one that I've had the most is from females, especially about my eyelash. They always say I have really, really nice eyelash.
Maroon.
Yeah.
Good, good. If you were to trade places with someone, name me one person who you would trade places with.
I There's a lot to think about it. If it's to change the whole aspect of athletics, it would be Bolt.
Yeah.
If it's to change the world, hmm, it would be somebody that is way up, way,
Yeah.
way up. Because
Name me. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, you're not
no,
finished. Continue.
no, because it would have to be somebody with enough wealth and power to really revamp the world.
Indeed, indeed. Name me one athlete when you line up with them, when you see them in a race, they make you nervous. Just one.
None.
None.
No. I
Not even when you line up with Usain Bolt
no.
or Asafa Powell, Johan
No,
Blake. None.
none. I get more nervous of being a part of the race and what I'm going to do, how I'm going to perform. I could care less who's in the race, to be honest. Um, I mean, it does play a part in your level of competition and how
Yeah.
well you run for the most part.
Mhm.
But um, I've never really like gone into a race and because somebody's in it, I'm shaking. I'm like, that person. No,
Good. Good. If you were trapped on an island and you have to eat one of the following to get off, which would it be? A snake, a frog, or a snail?
all of the above.
Taekwondo, stop it.
Those are all.
you explore you explore food like that? But that's good.
To be
You
honest,
you've
I've
had them
listen.
all?
No, I've never had frog.
Okay.
Um, I've never had
You've
frog.
had
I've
snake?
snail, but I've seen frog being prepared. Yes, I've had a snake. I've seen frog being prepared, and that thing looked
N-
damn
Not
good.
on this side of the world though, on the
No,
other side
In China,
in
in China,
in Asia.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, not in
Wow.
China, in Taiwan actually, and
Wow.
it looked good. But because I knew what it was before it got to the point of looking good, and I was like, no.
And because it's not a part of our culture,
Yeah,
culture
yeah.
wise. Yeah.
But I think I might try it one day. I've never
What,
had
frog?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've traveled to so many places, and a lot of athletes can tell you they always have a problem with finding something to eat and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Not you?
Not me.
No, you are easy. You explore with food. Now
Yep.
I see why the first question was so easy. The biggest risk.
Yeah.
But before you go, if you had one thing to say to the current generation of athletes who are in the wings behind you guys waiting, what would it be?
Nothing is ever what it seems. Always try to do your own research and get your own answers. Because if not, you're just going to be somebody who is just going to be falling in line and the joining whatever somebody is giving you to eat or whatever somebody is putting in your head. You're just going to become a puppet. So I mean, always be somebody that craves for more knowledge.
Yeah. With your situation currently in Budapest, what do you have to say to the federation?
But right now, what I would say to the federation is, we all understand that you guys are the leaders of Jamaica athletics, and we all see that there are some discrepancies in the federation. You guys don't have to do anything now, but you can do it for the future. Fix it, make everything fair for the athletes. The sport is not about the administration. No offense, but it is not, right? And if you guys don't respect the athletes as much as how you would like them to respect you guys, there will always be an imbalance. And just do what's best for the country.
Indeed, 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 indeed. I hope we can change this narrative, this thing that has been going on for so long. I hope we can change it because track and field Jamaica is a big deal. Big, big, super, super deal. And I hope we can get it right and, try and make our athletes a little bit more happy because the athletes, they are the heart of the federation. So I hope they can get it right. A big season coming up. And that is my 2 cents. So,
Yeah, I
Taekwondo, I give
mean,
you the last words.
there's a lot Jamaica can do, right? A lot more the Jamaica administration can do, because I've been to places where these persons don't even barely have one Olympian, much less multiple Olympians. And these people will have Olympic training centers and stuff like that, where athletes can go and, you know, basically get their craft as close as possible to perfection. With all the success we've had over the years, we've yet to see one athletic training center erected where it is aimed just for the athletes to to basically utilize and make the country proud. We've yet to see something like that, and I doubt is to a degree where they can't get sponsorship to get these things done. Because I know there will be a lot of person who would be happy to jump behind to help, right? And there is so much that can be done or that should have been done, but
Yes, our infrastructure is the same. It has not changed
it
really.
has it
And
has not changed.
I'm glad you said that. A few weeks ago, I was watching, I think there was a clip online, and Zarnel Hughes trains in Jamaica, and he doesn't compete for his roots country, and he won a bronze medal at the World Championship, and he went to his home country, and the reception that he got just by winning one medal for the country, a bronze medal, you would have think that he broken a world record and he won a gold medal. They appreciate him so much, and this is his birth country because he competes for Great Britain.
Hmm.
But at his hometown, they were still able to celebrate with him and treat him like a king. You know what we would have done? We would have said, you compete for other countries, so
Yep. Move from
you
Essa.
know, yeah, the difference.
Yeah,
And
you would have gotten shunned immediately.
yeah, immediately. Yeah. But you're right. Our infrastructure we there's so much more that we can do taekwondo, and it breaks my heart that we're such a powerhouse in track and field, and
As I
we
said,
don't have anything to show for it.
everybody is in it for themselves, and nobody wants to be held accountable. And that is one of the reasons why I think a lot of things are not being done in terms of investment in different infrastructures, equipment, gyms, and stuff like that for
Mm-hmm.
Olympic athletes. Because guess what? If you go to, and this is just for example, showing a name out there, say you go to Grace Kennedy and say, you know what, we want to build an athletic gym where the Olympians can go to and utilize, and we would like your support. These people are going to hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
These people are going to say, hey, I want to see where my money is going.
Yeah.
And they are not going to benefit from that. They, the administration, are not going to really benefit from that. And I think those are one of some of the reasons why they don't even bother to try to do things like that. Because they're
Yeah.
not going to benefit from it.
You know what upset me sometimes? We love to talk about we're a track and field country, yet we're not. We're talking the talk, but we're not walking the walk.
Listen, thank God for Glenn Mills, Steve Francis, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah. Hmm.
Ronaldo Walcott, all of them top coaches there. Thank God for them. Because if it wasn't for those people, Jamaica athletics would be nowhere.
Yeah. Indeed.
If it
Indeed.
was up to the administration, Jamaica's athletics would be nowhere.
And that's very sad. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. As a track and field fan, I am broken to see where we could have been, and we're still at the same place. Everything looks the same. Everything, nothing has changed as it relates to our infrastructure, how we do things, our administration. Nothing, no seminars, no
No, nothing.
conferences, no
Everything is
nothing.
the bigger the country get, the more tight knit and
Yeah.
close and
Yeah,
rock
yeah.
back everybody get.
We need someone to head the federation that has a passion. You see, just like how Mr. Horace Burrell had a passion for football, and he would have done everything for football, and he would have gone out and all the things that he did. He wasn't perfect, but he had a passion that he was driven to do things, and Jamaica
Hmm.
football become a big deal in the Caribbean. We became the biggest in the Caribbean because of his passion. We need somebody with passion for the sport to really push us where we need to go, because our infrastructure should look way better than what it is. It has not changed one bit. We have not done any upgrade, nothing.
Yep. And as I said, these people could have gotten sponsorship from multiple persons to get these things done. But guess what? At the end of the day, they would have been held accountable. And that is one of the things they are hiding from more than anything else, accountability.
As a track and field country, as the biggest track and field country in the Caribbean, why haven't we gotten a world relay?
We don't
Hmm.
have the proper infrastructure. And I mean, not only that, we are still behind.
Way
Um,
behind. But something,
I mean,
taekwondo,
they can host the championship, Don't get me wrong, They can,
we don't have
Because
the facility.
World Relays is not as sophisticated as maybe like the World Championship, or as demanding, I should say, as the World Championships. But
Our facility need to be upgraded. The Stadium East as a warm-up track need a lot of work. The stadium needs some work. The bathroom, the concessionary area, everything. We need an overhaul. We're not even selling merchandise. We are the only
That
ones who have track
that that is the most disgusting part of it, because if you know how much money we could make of selling merchandise, I wonder if I could find
merchandise
a way.
alone.
I wonder if
Merchandise
I could. I
alone.
wonder if I could find a way to sell Jamaica
Look here,
merchandise
man.
for the
Let
Olympic
us
next year.
talk. Let us talk, man. Of course we can. Of course we can.
I should be able to.
I
There
plan
must be a way.
Listen, I plan to sell some merchandise next year and I am going to make some design. Yes, man. Let us talk about it. It can be done. We look here in the
Yeah,
US,
man.
you see,
I
when you
could
go to
definitely talk
college,
about it.
you see, when you go to college sports and all of those things, you see, when you look at merchandise, when you look at hoodie shirts, t-shirts, caps, everything, scarf, everything. I mean, I talk about college sports. The merchandise that they sell is ridiculous. You go to a game, if
Yeah.
you don't have on anything for your alma mater, you just go buy a cap, you go buy a shirt, you go buy a tam, you go buy whatever, a flag, whatever. But taekwondo, let us talk. Let us talk about this.
Yeah.
Let us
Definitely.
talk. Yes. Edina Steele, bigging you up there. Welcome, Edina. Welcome, Dave. Everybody on the live. Kevin. Taekwondo, this was really a good discussion. We need more of this, but I'm pushing you to find a way to get a voice for the athletes. I'm the biggest fan of Jamaica track and field athletes. I don't care what nobody wants to say. I am the biggest fan. And I don't want to see our athletes hurting or competing while they're hurting because the powers that be is not looking out for them. So they have to go out there and compete because, I mean, sport is a business in a taekwondo.
Yes, it
Sport is
is.
a business, sport is a career, and we have to treat you guys a little better. But with that said, again, before we go, I'm going to give you the last words again.
Oh well. So can I vote, Eddie? According to the J3, you have to be a part of the delegation or a past or present athlete. So once you represented Jamaica anytime in the past, you can vote.
Okay,
Um,
so once you're okay, say that again so anybody who is watching can hear. Who can vote for presidency of the J3s?
so once you've competed for Jamaica, past or present, no matter when, it could have been the 90s, you are eligible to vote, right? And if you are a part of the delegation and yeah,
Okay, so to
and
vote for
coaches as
president,
well.
okay, so to vote for presidency of the J3A, you can either be a retired athlete, a current athlete. Coaches can also vote. What about fans?
I'm not 100% sure.
And if them ever let through the fans, man, a problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if they allow that, they would be out as
So
quickly as they got in.
athletes, please, athletes, retired athletes, current athletes, please to put in your vote. And but as you said, the period to register has gone, right? September 30th it was.
Listen, we have to fight for that change, because that don't make no sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
the election is sometime way down in the next year, and the deadline for register gone almost a year before.
yeah, yeah. The athletes really need to come together though and do this, especially those who their voice will, people will listen to them. They really need. I saw where Shakari was trying to do it for the US athletes. I need to go back to look at how far they are and how it's going. But somebody need to just start it, and athletes just need to get involved and just do it, as the Nike ad said, just do it, just do it. But taekwondo, thank you very much for stopping by, and it was a pleasure. hearing your story and knowing that you're from Trelawney. You went to Garvey Masaya, you went to
Bustamante High and
Bustamante
Brownstone High.
High and
Brownstone High.
Brownstone High. Taekwondo, thank you very much for being here. And I am going to be your cheerleader for next season. Just remain focused, do what you have to do, and beyond
Um,
that.
Kevin, Dave Graham, Kevin Clark, Dave Graham, what's her name? Dorothy, Sandra Henry.
Mhm.
You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. You guys can same name Taekwondo Tracy, and you guys can send me a message. We'll talk about everything.
You heard that, guys? Yes, you can find him on Instagram, and his name is not a common name, so I just went and just put in his name and it came up. So it's not one of those names that is hard to find. It's not a
Hmm.
common name. So thank you very much, Mr. Tracy, for being here, and enjoy the rest of your evening. And as I said, just put on those blinkers, and all the best for 2024
Definitely.
season. And yes, we are drifting into Paris. Okay, sir?
Yes,
And we're going to talk
appreciate it.
about that business. Okay, sir?
Yes, we should. Yes.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks. Bye bye. Yes, guys. Thank you all for being here. Of course, Taekwondo Tracy, another one of Jamaica's outstanding track and field gem. That's what I call them, track and field gem. And we need to, as fans, we need to rally around our athletes. Maybe we could start our own little foundation. Fans of the sport or something, be a voice for them, and speak out when we see injustice being handed down to them, because without the athletes, the federation would not even be needed. Some countries don't even have a federation because they do not have the athletes. So, guys, let us rally around our athletes. Thank you all for being here. Kevin Clark, the quiet one, thank you for being here. Dave, as always, Dave Graham, thank you, Dave. Sandy British, Sandra Henry, she have so many names. My producer, thank you all for being here. I saw Lati earlier, Latoya Clark. I saw a few Olympians. I saw Vivine. I saw Edino Steele. Thank you for being here. I saw Dorothy Scott Genius. Marlene Green was here. Regina Montague, outstanding girls champs star. And of course, former coach at Dintil, the famous Dintil Technical High School. So, guys, thank you very much. Next week, I will be here with a group of Olympians, all females, a group of Olympians will be here next week promoting their nonprofit organization. And of course, they too wants to give back to our upcoming stars, and just giving back like what we all are doing here, giving back to the sport. And next week, I'll have a team of Olympians like Miss Vilma Charlton will be here. Dorothy Scott Genius will be here. Ruth William Simpson will be here, and others. So, guys, come next week and let us support these Olympians who have done it even when they were not being paid. Vivian, another Olympian, is here. Vivian Morana, thank you for being here, another Olympian. And let us just support the athlete. This channel is to support our athletes, promote them, promote whatever projects they're working on, whatever they want to do, and support. So, guys, have a good night, and I will see you guys next week. And also, I'm going to have just a short wishes to the face of this channel and my good friend Aileen Bailey, who will be tying the knot. She'll be getting married next weekend. Aileen will be getting married next weekend. So we want to show Aileen some love at the beginning of the program and wish her all the best in her union. So thank you guys, thank you all for being here. Kevin Clark from Dical Health and Wellness, Mr. and Mrs. Clark, thank you very much for being here. Dave, everyone, thank you for being here, and have a good night, and I will see you guys soon. Okay, thank you very much, and remember guys, one Jamaica, we say one Jamaica. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye.